Well, coming off the back of a weekend where we reached the Scottish Cup final with a winning performance against Hearts, Billy Clement spoke post-match to the Viaplay TV boys and girls, and there was one part of that interview that kind of worried me slightly, and kind of I don't know, just I don't think enough has been made of the words that he said, and it's not the first time he has alluded to this either. Now, during his interview, Clement talked about the signing of Mohamed Diamande, who is, without a shadow of a doubt, a very good signing. He has been signed on what is called a loan with an obligation to buy, meaning that we do have to pay the 4.2 or 4.5 million pounds, whatever it was, I think, can't remember now, to actually purchase Mohamed Diamande. Cortez, of course, was brought in on loan as well with an option to buy for 2.5 million, and Fabio Silva is here on a loan with no option to buy, which some of you may be very relieved about, given some of his recent performances. However, already this year, Clement has kind of already said that to buy, or not even to buy, to bring in, to pay the loan fees, that was it for Diamande, for example, he had to raid some of the summer budget, which is worrying news. Now, there's been a few things obviously around. Now, in the AGM, John Bennett said that he would back the manager in January, something that quite obviously did not take place, given the fact that Clement has already said, and I trust Philippe Clement's words here, that he had to raid the summer budget to get money to make signings now, which does, of course, beg the question how much money will be available in the summer, given the fact that this Rangers squad does need a major overhaul and a major rebuild, which is not going to come cheap in modern football. You know, modern footballers are not cheap. That is the standard price, you know. There's a little lesson here. You know, if you shop in a bargain basement, you get not great quality stuff. If you shop in a average shop, you get average quality goods. If you shop in a high quality store, you get high quality goods. There's a bit of a lesson there. You can't expect to get Marks and Spencer's food at, say, Aldi prices or Lidl prices or any other discount supermarket prices. Now, let's take this on a stage further. So Clement said in his post-match interview this was his quote. He's taken directly from what Clement said to the Viaplay TV panel when talking about the signing of Mohamed Diamande. He said it's a very good signing in January without a budget. To find somebody like that, so big credit to the recruitment team. So yes, I agree. It is massive credit to Niels Koppen and the recruitment team to find someone like Mohamed Diamande, and to some extent as well, like Oscar Cortez, who pre-injury was doing very well for us. So the more worrying bit, though, is that first part of what Clement says. He says a good signing without a budget, meaning basically there was no money to spend. Now, I think there's been a bit of a false narrative around how much money Rangers spent in the summer, in terms of the fact that, you know, a lot of people are blaming Michael Beale. And Michael Beale, look, I'm not trying to defend Michael Beale, because Michael Beale is an awful manager. He's proven on a number of occasions now. The way that obviously his squad at QPR that he assembled fell away and nearly got relegated last season. The appalling job he did at Rangers. His talent identification is clearly awful. He's the awful job that he did at Sunderland. You've just got to look at the mess they are now currently in, a team that was in playoff contention, fallen well away to mid-table mediocrity in their league, or down to the damage done by Michael Beale. So I am not defending Michael Beale or stating that Beale is any good at anything. Now, I think there's a very much a false narrative around the fact that all the money was spent by Beale and there's nothing left. Now, what I did was I went back and looked at the last 4 transfer windows. And by that, I mean complete transfer windows, the summer and the winter windows, and looked at the amount of money that Rangers spent and the amount of money that Rangers took in to try and analyse, you know, is this a situation where genuinely we have overspent in the last few seasons and we need to rein that back in? Now, I know that we don't take into account loan fees, etc., signing on fees that we'd have had to pay for Butland, for example, and Silva and Cortez and Diamande. But overall, this is the basic breakdown of the Rangers transfer record over the last four sets of windows over the last 4 seasons. So this summer, now this is where the false narrative comes in, I think. We spent 16.2 million on players. A lot of that was wasted, of course. And we took in, through the sales of the likes of Fashion Sakala, Antonio Cholak, The loaning out of Yanis Hadji, Glenn Kamara's sale to Leeds, 13.35 million. So overall, we lost 2.85 million on our transfer business across 2 windows. So realistically, over this year, we have spent 2.85 million, not the 16.2 or 16 million or whatever you want to term it as, that it is alleged that Michael Beale wasted and the board gave him all that money and he thrown it all away and didn't. That's it. It was effectively 2.85 million. Okay, with the fees that came in for Sakala and Cholak and Kamara, etc., etc. And you've got to remember that the Saudi club paid a substantial amount for Sakala. I think Leeds paid £4.5 million for Kamara. So look, you've got a situation there where there is money coming into the club. So that got me thinking, is that because the previous season or the season before that, we massively overspent? So I went back and looked. The transfer record 22-23, obviously when the likes of Rebo and Bassi departed, we took in 32.32 million and we spent 17.4, meaning that we had a transfer net spend of plus 14.91 million. So made a profit on our summer and winter transfer business of 14.9 million pounds. So that automatically got me thinking, let's go back another couple of windows to see whether there has been over to now. I know there's been obviously COVID on costs and COVID situations, and that is obviously a situation that did impact clubs. But let's just look at raw transfer records for now, as I don't have access, obviously, to those on costs. 21-22, we took in 14.8 million and spent 3.68 million, meaning we had a net spend of 11 plus 11.2 million. So 2 seasons before this season, and let's remember that FFP PSR covers a 3-year period. Okay, so over the last 3 periods, taking out the amount that we spent in 21, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2021, we actually represent about £23 million profit on transfer business. So that looks fairly healthy. It looks like a lot of money coming in and very little going out. Now, the season before that, 2020, 2021, we only brought in £1 million and we spent 11.7 million. So meaning we lost 10.7. So that was our biggest outlay over those 4 windows, which gives us over the 4 seasons, that's taking off the fact that, like I said, FFP, PSR goes back over 3 years. We made a transfer net profit spend of £12.55 million. Now, yes, I understand we've spent money on Edmiston House and the facilities within the stadium tour, the museums, etc., etc. And there are COVID on costs, stadium improvement costs, loan fees, transfer fees. However, you look at the overall situation, the fact that the last 2-3 years, the club has made operating profits. It's not lost money. It's made operating overall net income operating profits. Yes, this year it was a negligible profit, but it was still a profit. So the club is a profitable concern, and I know that we don't want to go back to pre-2012 and 2012 and all that went wrong there. But you've got a question for me where John Bennett and James Bisgrove are going with this. And, I know that questioning the board is not good for the future for this channel in terms of getting press access or whatever, but I'm more worried about the fan. I'm a fan. All I want is my club to be successful. All I want is my club to win things. All I want is my club to get back to the Rangers that we should be, the Rangers that dominate Scottish football, the Rangers that compete in Europe, the Rangers that are the best in Scotland and one of the best teams in Europe. Now, realistically, you've got to start to question, looking at the words that Philippe Clement has said and looking at the words So looking at the facts and the figures in terms of numbers, in terms of operating profit, which is every year we've made a profit, in terms of transfers fee, where we're spending less than we actually take in transfer fees, the false narrative around the Beale money, that Beale has wasted all that, has spent all that money. Yes, he did waste a lot, so let's rephrase that. That Beale spent everything and there's nothing left, and we only actually spent 2.85 million, not 16, which was what has been talked of. So you've got to ask, where's the money? Where is the money? Now, we do have outstanding transfer fees to pay, but we're also owed outstanding amounts of money from the likes of Nathan Patterson, for example, Calvin Bassey, etc., etc. Also, the way that modern transfers work is that you don't pay all the money upfront in one go. You know, in terms of transfer fees, it's very much a kick a can down a road kind of thing these days, where the money you spend on transfer fees, you agree an initial payment for that player, and then you pay it off over a series of seasons, very much like you would as a normal person buying a car, buying a house, buying anything, any white goods from from an electric store. So the question you've got to ask is, where is the money? Why are the board not committing the money? And why are they not speculating to accumulate at times? Now, I know it's a risk, and running a football club is a risk. Look, you've only got to look at the massive losses that have been made by EPL teams, despite the fact they have substantial amounts of money coming in, to know that running a football team is a risk. Of course it is. But the question that I want answered, and the question what I want to know from the Rangers board is, will this summer Philippe Clement and Niels Koppen be properly backed? Will they be given actual real money to spend and bring in players? Because if they don't, if they can't, if they won't back these two guys who I honestly believe can take this club forward, then we're going to be in a position where next season we're going to be still having a number of players that are letting us down on a regular basis or are not of sufficient quality to play for Glasgow Rangers. And we're going to be behind them. Now, I know that they get their money in. Of course they do. They make a lot more money than we do at the moment. I think it was £88 million operating revenue income for them, 38 million for us, because they're in the Champions League and we weren't. But you've got to look back to January. And like I said, you speculate to accumulate. We go out and we spend a bit of extra money on someone like Bojan Miovski or Lawrence Shankland, for example. Or we go out and spend a little bit of extra money on, I don't know, someone from England or from France or Lund, whatever he was called, the Swedish guy. We get to we win the league, which I think we would have done with a clinical striker. No disrespect to Cyril Dessers, he did very well yesterday, but with a clinical striker, we go stage further in the Europa League because we have missed that cutting edge against Benfica. We don't lose those games that we should be winning in the SPFL because we take our chances. We win the league. We go to the Champions League. You get £30 million. You pay back what you spent on that player. There seems to be a lack of ambition, is what I'm kind of trying to hint at and say here from the board. You know, John Bennett, for me, yes, is a Rangers man. Yes, is a Rangers fan. And I've got no doubts in my mind he wants Rangers to be successful. I'm not saying that for a minute. But what I am saying is he is Douglas Park's man at the end of the day. He was Douglas Park's right-hand man throughout his reign. And Douglas Park was a disaster as chairman. You know, he allowed the season, the triumph of 55 to be thrown away and Celtic to get back up off the canvas and come back at us and pretty much knock us down again and then put their foot on our throats rather than the other way round that it was. Stuart Robertson was an absolutely useless chief executive, one of the worst in the club's history. And we're in a position where at the moment you're worried about the future. You're worried about, does the board have the ambition or the money or the wherewithal to go forward and back? Now, I know there's this FFP report keeps getting quoted around about, oh, that Rangers are under FFP threat. No, we're not. That report is 2 to 3 years old. People say we're under FFP watch. No, we're not, because that has been ended now by the changing of FFP to PSR and the different ways of revenue expenditure and the different rules for spending money that UEFA, the EPL, the La Liga, the Bundesliga people are introducing now, which is the PSR regulations. So we are not under threat of that. There is no threat there. This club is not in a financially dodgy position. Yet it doesn't appear to have a board that is willing to match the ambition of the fans, and I think the manager and director of football. And it's a worry. And yes, I think the jury is out and we have to reserve judgment until the summer. I understand that. But I am concerned, given those words from Clement yesterday, it's a very good signing without a budget. Why was there no budget there? Why was there no money spent? Especially, like I said, over the last 4 windows, we have a net profit on our transfer business. Where's the money? And where's the ambition? Guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. As always, guys, on the way out, if you can smash the sub, help the channel to keep on growing. We are working towards our 6K target by the end of the season. We're on 5,501 now. Fantastic numbers. Thank you for your phenomenal support, guys. This channel means the absolute world to me. I love this channel. I love you guys. I love Rangers, talking Rangers. On the way out, if you can smash the like, and remember always, we are the people.